My name is Azzy, otherwise known as Greg or Asshole, whichever you prefer. Just don't call me late for dinner. Now, before I start off the show here, let's give a round of applause to everybody before me. Oh, come on, you guys must be sleeping. I know you guys can get a little bit louder than that. Oh, there you go. I get it from this section over here. So, besides that, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Ski himself for putting on this level little shooting over here. Alright, so for any of you regulars out there who saw me perform last time, you guys will know that I do a little bit of customer service work. Well, a few more stories have surfaced. I was working overnight this weekend, and Saturday, to be honest, was quite the shit show. I show up and I get informed about a scam call first thing. I'm like, oh, great. Got that to deal with. As the night goes on, it just gets weirder and weirder. I have a customer call me and says, I said, thank you for calling Walgreens. This is Gregory, how may I help you? Yes. By the way, do you have sushi? What, do I look like sushi to go? Yes, let me run to the back and grab some Philadelphia rolls and California rolls for your pleasure, okay? Let me go and double check on that. Had another guy come in and ask for a Slim Jim, to which I said, hey, the meat sticks are around the corner. And he looked at me like a cow looks at an oncoming train. I said, oh, not the Slim Jim we're looking for. He says, no. Unfortunately, I'm looking for another kind of Slim Jim. I said, okay. He goes, well, do you have any paint scrapers or at the very least wire coat hangers? It's finally that clicked with me, and I said, you know, sir, we are not Home Depot. We do not assist in the act of Grand Theft Auto. Alright, so moving right along, some subjects that were touched on earlier in the night by other comics, Jerry G. Marriage and, kids and so forth. I myself have been married and divorced before and have a lovely little girl who's 9 years old. And the funny thing is growing up, being teenage and whatever, you find yourself in that awkward stage and trying to, does she like me, does she not, whatever, an awkward stage. And as I grew older, I found out that, with my budding talents as comic or singer or fire dancer or whatever, I come across, that I attract the ladies. I go ahead and have different effects on women, whether it be creaming their panties or having them run into signs. So, with that being said, they say that the cornerstone of economics is marriage and kids. Now, going back to my marriage days, marriage is one of those things that they say is cornerstone of economics. Well, I tend to disagree. It is the cornerstone of alcoholism and drug addiction, if you're married to the wrong person. So, my ex-wife drove me crazy, and I looked at it and I'm like, I must have been drunk our whole entire relationship if I was with you. And which brings me to my next thought, which is marriage should be like the military. In the sense that, you may see a lot of action potentially, but you should be able to renew or not renew after every 4 years. Say, okay, well, you know what, this is going great, I think I'll stick with this, or then at that aspect you go, okay, I think somebody else who truly gets me is the best way to go. Now, divorce is one of those things where it can get ugly, and oftentimes it does because of kids and drama and bullshit. Do I have any divorced people in here? Woo! Nice, just one woo in there. Okay, so the thing is after you get divorced, you try to pick up the pieces of your life and you go, okay, well, what's best for the children? When do I get back into the dating pool if I ever do? And my biggest thing is, okay, there's tons of kinks out there. There's tons of this, tons of that out there. And I had a chick one time call me daddy, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm a dad myself, which, kind of seems a little strange. But you know what? Fuck it. I'll go with it.
Okay.
And so at the end of the time with that, I looked at it, I thought about it, I said, well, with that particular kink, she, either which way, I'll look at her and say, have you been a bad girl or a good girl? And either which way, she's going to get spoiled. Oh, did I say spoiled? I meant soiled. But, it's interesting getting back into the dating game after you've been divorced because you know what to look for and what traps not to fall into. And especially, I don't usually bring my kids to the first date. I do mention the kids, but, I have to throw that out as a precursor. And the other precursor I throw out there is, of course, hopefully you remember my name because if all goes well, you'll be screaming it later. And so, to round this out, I guess, with marriage and kids and whatever, I've got another tale for you guys about my kid. So we were cruising around, and the song Uptown Funk came on by Bruno Mars. Do we have any Bruno Mars fans in here?
Yeah.
There is something to be said about a little 3-4-year-old kid going, Uptown, fuck you up, Uptown, fuck you up. And I look at her, I'm like, what did you just say? Uptown, fuck you up. I'm like, I haven't spoken that kind of language around you. Where did you learn that? And she looked at me like, what? I'm not doing anything wrong. I thought that until later, in which case she must have been around her mother because then she called me a cocksucker later. So, with that being the case, I do want to thank you guys all for being here tonight and supporting everybody, including Mr. Ski himself, and every performer that's been up here.